invoking of auspiciousness. Evil. We'll do it all together. Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Uta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanuga Pravaram Rajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Preshtaya Bhutare Rupanuga Bhaktidam Chakripa Murtim Narayanam Shri Krishna Linakatane Sudaksham Odarya Madhurya Guneshcha Yuktam Varam Vadanyam Purushan Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shirasanamami Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Kesha Preshtaya Bhutare Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namine Gaura Baba Mayo Deha Ujvara Rasa Bhavaka Bhakti Vedanta Vamano Rag Bhakti Pravartaka Guru Dhamni Cha Sevasu Vaishnave Sarvadamati Rante Bhagavate Sakshat Goswami Vedante Rati. For anyone joining on page 3, the bottom. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutane Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Simharupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavayiti Namine Ati Marcha Charitraya Swashitanam Chapaline Jiva Duke Sadartaya Shinama Premadayane Gaura Shraya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaika Charine Rupanuga Prevadaya Vinodeti Swarupine Prabhu Padantarangaya Sarva Sarguna Shaline Maya Vadanta Moganaya Vidantarta Vade Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutane Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dvaitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryanjvarya Premadya Shirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Varudha Pasidhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshan Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambada Sambode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Virayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirjesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Savabhoma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahaviranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishye Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Manda Mate Gati Matsarva Svapadambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Brindaranya Kapadrumadha Shrimadat Nagara Simhastanashto Shima Radha Shila Govinda Devo Preshtani Bisevyamano Smarami Shima Rasara Sarambi Vamshivata Tashtitaha Karshan Venu Svaner Gopir Gopinata Shri Estuna Vrindaye Tulasi Devyaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Very good. And so you might have noticed a couple of prayers there that we say throughout the day. So if you ever want to try to learn it, like the Vanchakalpa one where we see people like Vanchakalpa, that's on page 6 at the bottom, prayers to the Vaishnavas. And then you sometimes hear us say things like Brindaya Tosi Devi. That's the one on page 9. Okay. And now we're going to page 23. And if you can't remember that, like you're like, oh, that one was on what page? You can just ask anybody and they'll find it for you. Or phone is like really useful. I would take pictures and then, yeah, you can just look back. Okay. And so now we're going to sing 3 songs in a row. We'll do them all together, but I'll say the page in between each one.
What page again?
Page 23. This one's to the Guru Parampara. We basically list all the gurus back to Krishna. Whole tree. Krishna hoite chato mukha, hoya Krishna sevan mukha. Brahma hoite nara dera mohati, narada hoite vyasa, madhvaka he vyasa dasa, purna pragna padmana bhagavati, nihari madhava vamshe, akshobhya padam ahamse, shishambon liyangi karakohore, akshobhyera shisha jaya, tirtaname parichaya, taradasye jnana sindutore, taha hoite doya nidhi, taradasya vidya nidhi, Rajendra hoiro taha hoite, tahara kinkara jaya, Dhamaname parichaya, parampara janabharamahate, jaya dharma dasekyati, shipurushatoma jati, tahoite brahmanya tirta sohori, Vyasatirtha tada dasa, Lakshmi pati vyasa dasa, tahoite madhavendra puri, double time, madhavendra puri vada, shisha vada, shri yashvada, nityananda, shri advaita vibhu, Ishvara Purike Danya Gauri Danya Shri Chaitanya Jagaguru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahiyanya Rupanuga Jane Rajivana Vishwambara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatahana Tara Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa Krishna Dasa Priya Vadandaru Tama Seva Pada Jara Pada Vishwanatha Asha Vishwanatha Bhakta Sata Baladeva Jagannatha Tara Priya Shri Bhakti Vinoda Mahabhagavata Vada Shri Goda Kishora Vada Hari Bhajanete Jara Moda Shri Vaishnava Vivada Sada Seva Seva Pada Tara Daita Dasanama Prabhupada Antaranga Shri Swarupa Rupanuga Shri Keshava Bhakti Pragyana Gaudiya Vedanta Veta Maya Varota Mohanta Gauravani Prachara Chandama Pracharira Gauravani Bhakti Vedanta Swami Gauralira Prabhupada Kama Kesha Priya Mahajana Jivanana Rayanhana Gauravani Tade Pranadana Esa Bahari Jana Gaurangera Nija Jana Tadero Chiste Morakama Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara. Awesome. Page 36, and it's basically the same melody. Mm-hmm. Vaishnavas. Prayers to the Vaishnavas. Vrindavanavasi jato Vaishnaveda gahana Partame vandana kori Sabara charana Nilachala vasi jato Mahaprabhu gana Bhumite podiyavando Sabara charana Navadvipavasi jato Mahaprabhu bhakta Sabara charana vando Hoyanurakta Mahaprabhu bhakta jato Goda deshe stiti Sabara charana vando Gaudiya pranati Jai deshe baise Gaurangera gana Udvabahu kori vando Sabara charana Hoyachena hoyi bena Prabhu jato dasa Sabara charana vando Dante Korigasha double time Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dare Jane Jane Eveda Purane Guna Gaya Jebasune Mahaprabhu Gana Sabapati Tapavana Taindo Bemui Papilo Inushadana Vandana Korite Mui Shato Shakti Dori Damo Buddhi Doshe Mui Damba Macha Kori Tatapi Mukhera Bhagya Manera Udasa Dokshakshami Moadami Koro Nijadasa Sava Vancha Siddhi Hot Yama Banda Trute Jagate Durlabha Hoya Premandana Lute Maranera Vasana Puna Achirate Hoya Devaki Nandana Dasa Elo Beko Hoya Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur. Page 200. And we're going to start off with the Panchatattva mantra, the Sri Krishna Chaitanya mantra, and the names of the six Goswamis. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari, Gauda Bhakta Vrinda, Vande Rupa Sanatana, Bhatta Raghunatha, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta, Dasa Raghunatha. From the beginning. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedoya Kohori Swaparshada Smiya Dhamma Sahavatari Adyanta Durabha Prema Gori Bari Dana Shikaya Sharana Gati Bakatera Prana Danyatmani Vedana Gamtit Vivarana Avasharakshipe Krishna Vishvasapalana Bhakti Anukula Matra Kayera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vajanangikara Sharanga Sharanagati Hui Bejahara Tahara Pratana Shune Srinanda Kumara Rupasanatana Pade Dante Trinakori Bhakati Vinoda Pade Dupada Dori Kandiya Kandiya Bole Amito Adama Shikaye Sharanagati Karohe Utama Jaya Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari Jaya Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari Jaya Jaya Goda Hari Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari. And at the end, what we were saying was Swa Parshada, which if you look at the first verse, it's the start of the second line. That means his personal associates. Page 86? Yeah. 86. And this one we can do call and response. It'll be the same melody though. Goranga Bolite Habe Puraka Sharira Hari Hari Bolitena Yane Babeniran Goranga Bolite Habe Puraka Sharira Hari Hari Bolitena Yane Babenira Adaka Benitai Chade Karuna Hoibe Samsara Vasana Mora Kabe Tu Chabe Adaka Benitai Chade Karuna Hoibe Samsara Vasana Mora Kabe Tu Chabe Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shurahabe Mahana Kabe Amahe Rabo Shri Vrindavana Vishaya Chariya Kabe Shurahabe Mahana Kabe Amahe Rabo Shri Vrindavana Ruparagunata Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Hama Jugala Piriti Rupara Gunata Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabehama Buja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupara Gunata Pade Rahumora Sham Vartana Karo Yesada Narotamadasa Rupara Gunata Pade Rahumora Sham Vartana Karo Yesada Narotamadasa Jayanita Jaya Gaur Jayanita Jaya Gaur Jayanita Jaya Gaur Jayanita Jaya Gaur. Page 343. Yeah, 343. 343. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Bhande Krishna Deva Bhavantam Bhande Man Manasa Madhukara Marpayan Nijapada Pankajamakarande Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande Yaryapi Samadhishu Virirapi Pashyati Natavanaka Gramarichim Yaryapi Samadhishu Virirapi Pashyati Natavanaka Gramarichim Idami chami nisham yatava chuta tarapi kripa dutavichim Idami chami nisham yatava chuta Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande Bhaktirudan Chatyaryapti Maharava Natvai Mamatinam Matre Parameshvarata Tarapita Vadika Dogata Gatana Virhatri Durgata Gatana Vidhatri Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande I am Avilolatayarya Sanatana Kalitadbhuttara Sambhara Nivasatune Nityameham Nityanindini Vindan Madhuri Masadam Nivasatu Nityameham Nityanindini Vindan Madhuri Masadam Krishna Deva Bhavandam Vande Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande Krishna He Krishna He Krishna He Krishna He Okay, one page back. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Damodara Dati Vadana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Brinda Vipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Vrishabhanudadhi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Bodhite Sanaka Sanatana Vanita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Page 289. And so those last two, one was to Krishna, one is to Radha. And now we're going to do two more, one to Krishna, one to Radha. Actually, three more, one to Krishna, one to Radha, and then to Krishna and what we've been learning at night about how he's bound by Yasoda. So starting on page 289, and right when we end this one, we're going to go straight to page 285. I'll call it up. Namami Nandanandanam, Namami Nandanandanam, Namami Nandanandanam, Namami Nandanandanam, Sucharu Vaktramandalam, Sukanaratna Kundalam, Suchachitanga Chandanam, Namami Nandanandanam, Sudega Netra Pankajam, Shiki Shikanda Murdajam, Ananga Koti Mohanam, Namami Nandanandanam, Sunasika Gramoktikam, Swachanda Danta Panktikam, Navam Budang Jingankanam, Namami Nandanandanam Karena Veneranjitam Kati Karindra Ganjitam Tukulapita Shobhanam Namami Nandanandanam Tribanga Deha Sundaram Nakadyuti Sudakaram Amuyaratna Bhushanam Namami Nandanandanam Sugandha Anga Sorabam Uro Virajikostubam Spurachtrivatsalanchanam Namami Nandanandanam Vrindavana Sunagaram Vilasanugavasasam Surendra Garvamochanam Namami Nandanandanam Vrajangana Sunayakam Sadasukha Pradayakam Jaganmana Pralobhanam Namami Nandanandanam Shri Nandanandanashtakam Pated Yashradhayan Vita Jared Bhavabdim Dustaram Labetaranggri Yugmakam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam. Page 285. Vrindavandite Triloka Shoka Harini Prasana Vaktra Pankaje Nikunjabu Vilasini Vajendra Parunandini Vrajendra Sunu Sangate Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripakataksha Bhajanam Ashoka Brikshavanari Vitanamandapastite Pravala Vala Palava Prabharurangri Komale Varabhaya Smarar Kode Prabhutasam Padalaye Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripakataksha Bhajanam Anangaranga Mangala Prasanga Bangura Bruvam Savi Brahmam Sasam Brahmam Triganta Bana Patanai Nirantaram Vashikrita Pratiti Nandanandane Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripakataksha Bhajanam Tadit Suvarna Champaka Pradipta Gaura Vigrahe Mukha Prabha Parastako Tishara Dendu Mandale Vichitra Chitra Sancharach Chakora Shavalochane Kadakarishyasi Hamam Kripakataksha Bhajanam Madon Madati Yovane Pramodamana Mandite Priyanuragaranjite Kalavilasa Pandite Ananya Danya Kunjarajaka Makeli Konvide Dakarish Yasi Hamam Kripakataksha Bhajanam Ashesha Hava Bhava Dira Hira Hara Bhushite Prabhuta Shata Kumbhakum Vakum Vikum Vasustani Prashasta mandahasya chona purna sokya sagare kadakarishyasi hamam kripa kataksha bhajanam Mrinala vala taranga ranga dolate latagra lasga lolani Lalochana valokane Lananulan milan manogramu Damo anashrite Kadakarishyasi hamam Kripa kataksha bhajanam Suvarna malikanchita Trireka kambu kantage Trisutra mangali guna Triratna dipti dirhite Salola nirakuntala Prasuna gucha gumpite Kadakarishyasi hamam Kripa kataksha bhajanam Nitamba bimbalamba mana pushpa mekala gune Prashasta ratna kinkani kalapa majamanjule Karindra shunda dandika varoha sobha goruke Kadakarishyasi hamam Kripa kataksha bhajanam Aneka mantra nada manjunu Purara vaskalat Samaja rajaham savam Shanik vanati gaurave Vilola hema vadari Vedam vicharu chankrame Kadakarishyasi hamam Kripa kataksha bhajanam Ananta koti vishnu lokanam Rapadmajarchite Himadrija pulomaja Virincha javara prade Apara siriri digdasat padam Linoke kadakarish yasi hamam Kripa kataksha bhajanam Makeshvari Kriyeshvari Swadeshvari Sureshvari Triveda Bharatishvari Brahmana Shasaneshvari Rameshvari Kshameshvari Pramodakananeshvari Vrajeshvari Vrajadipe Shiradhike Namostute Iti Mamadhutam Stavam Nishamya Bhanu Nandini Karotu Santatam Janam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Bhaveta Daiva Sanchita Trirupa Karmandashanam Bhaveta Davrajendra Sunu Mandala Praveshanam Kadakarishyasi hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Jaya Radha Govinda. Page 290. Could I do the ISKCON tune? Could I do the ISKCON tune? Namam Ishvaram Satchit. Oh, all together. Namam Ishvaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasakundalam Gokure Brajamanam Yasodabhyondukandavamanam Paramishtamatyantato Druchagopya Rudantam Muhornetra Yugmam Rijantam Karam Boja Yugmena Shatanka Netram Muhushvasakam Patrire Kankakanta Stita Graiva Damodaram Bhakti Badham Namam Ishvaram Sachidananda Rupam Dasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Idrik Swalilabira Ananda Kunde Swagoshamim Rajantam Makyapayantam Dadi Eshitaneshu Bhakterjitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Vadam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadimva Nachanyam Vrineham Vadeshadapiha Idam Teva Purnata Gopala Balam Sadame Manasya Virastam Kimanyai Namam Ishvaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Idam Te Mokum Bojam Avyakta Nile Ritam Kuntalai Snigdadaktasha Gopya Muhushum Bitam Bimbadaktam Dharame Manasya Virastam Valam Lakshalabai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabdi Magna Kripa Drishti Brishyate Dinam Vatanu Grihane Shama Magnam Vedakshi Drisha Namam Ishvaram Sachidananda Rupam Dasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Kuveratmajo Bada Motyaiva Yadvat Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha Tata Prema Bhaktim Svakam Me Prayacha Namokshe Graho Mesti Damodareha Namaste stu damne spuran dipti damne Tvadi adarayata vishvasa damne Namo radikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nanta lilaya devaya tubhyam Namo radikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Nade Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Raman Bihari, Radha Raman Bihari Radhe. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Agyanam timirandasya Gyananjana salakaya Chaksurunmilitam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Twadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Nama Yang Pravrajantam Manupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Taru Ajuhava Putri Ditam Mayataya Taravo Banedos Tang Sarvabhutaridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparadalakshay Chaptasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kirpamayi Tvam Sharanam Praparyam Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavaivasmi Najivami Tambina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Chatikam Angashamalim Chatabirabito Mandi Kritendivaram Jadyam Jagudarochisam Pagadatam Padambarasya Vrindaranya Vilasanam Ridila Sattamabhiramodaram Radha Skandani Veshito Jalabujam Dhyayamadamodaram Dhyayamadamodaram. First I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sat Shri Sriman, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and Shri Srimad Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. To our Param Gurudevs, Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj and Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates and all the assembled devotees and the assembled devotees Diksha Gurus who are my Shiksha Gurus, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Maharaj, Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Ban Maharaj, and Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. So we were very lucky last night that we slept over in Kokilavan, one of the 12 major forests of Vrindavan, and we all picked our trees and we slept under different trees and had all of our desires fulfilled. Don't you feel good this morning? Okay, so we began our Kokilavan Parikrama yesterday. Kokil is the cuckoo who sings very nicely. Although most of the forests in Vrindavan have been at least partially destroyed, at least to our material vision, Kokilavan has been very protected. So even now, can't you see the cuckoos, peacocks, cranes, blue cows, the deer, in this very enchanting forest. Male peacocks, female peacocks. And yesterday we went to Ratnakar Sarovara, which is filled with jewels. We took bath in a few ponds yesterday. Then we went to Anjanok. Anjanok is where Radharani was being dressed and decorated to go for her Abhisar rendezvous with Krishna, when all of a sudden, when they began putting on her kajal around her eyes, she heard Krishna's flute, became restless and couldn't stay there any longer, so she immediately left the scene and ran to Krishna. When Krishna noticed that she didn't have any anjan or kajal on, he personally put it on her. And he was fully absorbed in the process. We also took bath there, exactly where it happened, in the place called Kishori Kund. And we also touched our head to the sitting place where Radharani was being decorated with Krishna. We had the good fortune to go to Parson. Parson means day after tomorrow, where Krishna promised the gopis that I'm just going to kill Kamsa now. I'll be back day after tomorrow. And so many days after tomorrow passed. So many years passed, 70 years, before the gopis and Krishna got to meet each other. So at this place, where Krishna was sitting with Baladev on the chariot of Akrur, his uncle, the gopis saw the horses pull away. First they tried to pull the reins of the horses, but they failed. And so they saw the dust from the wheels and the dust from the horses. And that was the last thing they saw of Krishna. Of course, they were seeing Krishna regularly, because on one hand, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, and then he appears to leave Vrindavan. And on the other side, what they assumed to be spurtis, or vision, that they saw in their separation, particularly Srimati Radhika, it was actually Krishna coming from Mathura and then Dwarka coming to meet with them. We went to Kamai, offered our obeisances there, which is the birthplace of Vishaka Devi, one of the two main Sakis of Srimati Radhika as her assistants in her pastimes with Krishna. And we went to Kerala, which is the birthplace of Srimati Lalita Devi. You know what? We didn't go to Shanki yesterday. So we're going to backtrack and go there today. Let's all walk backwards for a second. And here we are at Shanki. Shanki is a very interesting place. This is the place where Krishna killed Shank, Achyuta. That is, Sankachyuta was a demon. Not only a demon, but a very lusty demon, who, when he saw Krishna and the gopis in their amorous sports, he thought, Krishna is eating my meat. And so he kidnapped Radharani and the gopis. But of course, he couldn't really carry Radharani because it's like Krishna couldn't touch Yogamaya. He could only touch Mahamaya. And then Mahamaya Durga flew out of his hands when he was going to thrash her against the rock as a little baby. And she flew up in the air and became Durga with 10 arms, weapons, and chastised Kamsa. You don't know that the baby who will kill you has gone elsewhere. You're such a fool. So similarly, Sankachyuta was like that. He couldn't really touch Radharani, but it's stated in the Vidagdha Madhav that he grabbed the throne that she was sitting on and was carrying the whole kit and caboodle there. And the other gopis, he was like pushing them along with this big log. He was pushing them along. So it was here that Krishna killed Sankachyuta, and he had this jewel, not on his head, but in his head. So after he killed him, he removed the jewel, and he wanted to give that jewel to Radharani, but if he had done so directly, then the other gopis would have been jealous. So he gave it to Balaram. He knew that Balaram would understand his heart, which he did. Balaram couldn't approach Radharani directly, so he gave the jewel to Madhumangal, who does mix more freely with the gopis, being a Priyanarm Saka. One day, Krishna and his Sakas, this is the longer version of it. One day, Krishna and his Sakas were playing in the colorful holy festival where you throw liquids, colored powders. You shoot the colored liquid with a syringe. And this was right near Radhakund, at the foot of Govardhan. At that time, the demon Sankachyuta caught the gopis and fled with shala trees in their hands. Krishna and Baladev ran after the demon to kill him. Seeing their raging speed, he left the gopis and fled for his life. Krishna left Daubai. Who's Daubai? Balaram. To protect the gopis, and he pursued. And here's the pastime appearing to us as a spurti or a vision. pastimes of holy. Krishna killed him, removed the jewel from his head, and gave it to Baladev, who sent it to Radharani through Dhanistha, through Madhumangal. And she accepted the jewel with great honor. Raghunath Das Goswami, in his Balapakus Manjali prayers, prays that let me have that jewel, put that jewel as the centerpiece of one of your necklaces, and then decorate you with that in the mornings. Because later, the Shamantika jewel, which came from the head of Shangachuda, became the good friend of Krishna's Kaustubha jewel, and the two jewels would dance together.
You want to show them in Sevakunj?
Hmm?
Want me to show them to everybody in Sevakunj?
Show what?
The two jewels talking to each other? No?
Well, I don't know if they could see it. You could point it out and say they're talking with each other. So then we went to Chatravan or Chata, where Radha and Krishna had a competition of who's going to be the crown jewel, who's going to be the authority of Vrindavan. Both Baladev and Subal on Krishna's side, and Lalita and Vishaka on Radharani's side.
The Shamantic one?
Yeah. Both sat their leaders on a throne and certified them as Rava, or the king or queen of Vrindavan. So we went to that place, Umrao, today, and we also had darshan of Radha Vinod, who was found in Kishori Kund, where we are just walking past now on our way back to where we're going to start today. And we did a lot of happy obeisances and dust collecting. So today, thank you, today we're going to the village of Dhanistha. There are 5 kinds of sakis. Saki, Pran Sakti, Saki, Nitya Saki, Priya Saki, and Priyanarm or Paramestha Saki. The Priya Narm or Paramestha Sakis and the Priya Sakis are both like Lalita and Vishaka in that they serve Radha and Krishna, but they also have a direct relationship with Krishna. Then there's the Pran and Nitya Sakis. They are Manjaris, and the Pran Sakis are leaders and more intimate. Then the plain Sakis are like Kundalita, Dhanistha. That is, they don't have any indirect relationship with Krishna like the other Sakis, direct or indirect. They are called Krishna Paksha, like Dhanistha, because now we're at her. We're in her village. Excuse me a second. So she used to live in the house of Yasoda. She's Krishna Paksha Gopi. Means she has more affection for Krishna than Radhika. That doesn't mean she has less affection for Radhika, because like unlimited and unlimited, less unlimited, more unlimited. And she would help to make the arrangements for Radha and Krishna to meet. She would also make sure Radharani got Krishna's remnants. And she's also a messenger. So let's offer our obeisances to Janistha here. And move on to Koshi. Koshi is a very interesting place of jogging pastimes with Radha and Krishna. And we find a Gomati Kunda here. And here, Krishna arranged for Nanda Baba to have darshan of Kushastali, Dwarka Dham, right at this very place. So let us do Achman here. I thought you were going to be the Pandava, Santi. Panda. So you went to your computer, you picked out the places, and then you sat there. And now let's swim around. Come out, dry up. Sometimes it pays to be tall. So here in Koshi, Koshi means like who are you? Pretending ignorance and speaking in a taunting voice, Srimati Radhika asked Krishna, Koshi, who are you? So therefore this place is called Koshivan. Once, Krishna was so eager to meet Radhika that he knocked on her door. From inside the house, Radhika asked, Koshi? Krishna replied, I'm Krishna. So the word Krishna has more than one meaning. It also means black snake. So Radhika said, well, if you're a black snake, then why come here? Do you want to bite me? Go to the forest. You have no purpose here. So Krishna said, no, dear one, I'm Gyanasham. Ganasham. Ganasham means like Krishna is like the color of a blackish cloud. And so Radharani said, if you're a black cloud, then you're also not needed here. Do not shower rain here and muddy my courtyard. Go to the forest and fields and discharge your rain. Dear one, I'm Chakri, because Krishna has so many names depending upon his activities. Chakri also means potter. So Radhika said, there's no need for a Chakri here. No wedding festival is being held in my house. Take your clay pots and find a marriage celebration. Dear one, I'm Madhusudan. Radhika intentionally took the word Madhusudan to mean bumblebee. And she said, well, if you're Madhusudan, then quickly fly from here to a flower garden and drink the nectar from the flowers. There's no flower garden here. Come on, I'm your beloved Hari. Krishna insisted. So Radhika, because Hari has different meanings, like monkey and lion. Of course, when it applies to Krishna, it means he who takes away all inauspiciousness, which by our calculation may appear to be auspicious. So she said laughingly, what's the need of a monkey or a lion here? Do you want to scratch me? Quickly run away to a dense forest. We're scared of lions and monkeys here. In this way, Radhika jokes with her beloved Hari. May they be pleased with us. The place of these joking pastimes is called Koshi Van. Oh, and here's a sad, we've just come to a sad place. Sad and happy, depending on how you look at it. It's called Ratnavadi. I remember being in the temple, there were so many, like samadhis, to walk around, and Gurudev is standing there. So, Gurudev is explaining. Krishna is directly manmat, manmataha. It means he attracts even Cupid. And Radhika is the direct manifestation of Mahabhav. Or you could say she's also a manifestation of Manmat, Manmataha Mohini. She's the enchanter of he who enchants so many Cupids. And her function is to fulfill Krishna's desires. In Ranavadi, they are both absorbed in varieties of love play with the aim of pleasing each other. Otherwise, here it's just for me. I really want to exploit the other person. And when they stop satisfying my senses, well, I really don't need them anymore. So Ranavadi is a place of amorous exchanges and amorous pastimes, games. So around 150 years ago, there was a Bengali Baba named Krishnadas, and he used to perform bhajan exactly where we are. So let's offer our obeisances to Krishnadas even before we know who he is, with faith that he's worth our obeisances, and to Radha and Krishna's playful games. One day, even though he was really absorbed in bhajan of these leelas, but just one day, he developed an ardent desire to visit all the sacred places in India. That all of this just awakened in his heart. Coincidentally, there was a Brahmana from here who was leaving for Dwarka at the same time. And the Brahmana insisted that Krishnadas Babaji accompany him. See, if we have a desire, sometimes it just comes out that we get to fulfill it, even if it's not a good one. On the way, they took darshan of many holy places before finally reaching Dwarka Dham. To enter Dwarka, one has to be branded with a chakra. Branded means, you know, it's hot, and how they brand cattle. After visiting other places, so now he had a chakra. After visiting other pilgrimage places, he made his way back to Ranavadi, where he found, to his amazement, that he could no longer absorb his mind in his bhajan. He was very frustrated. Just like we haven't even started doing bhajan. As soon as we start, the mind goes here. Now I'm going to do it, and then the mind goes there. But he was doing bhajan, and now he couldn't. Despite great endeavor, he was unable to remember the eightfold pastimes that he previously was able to remember. This caused him great distress. So he went to see his friend, Siddha Krishna Das Babaji, at Radhakund. when Siddha Krishnadas Babaji saw him, he turned his face away. He didn't really want to have anything to do with him because he thought, well, if I associate with him, the same fate will happen to me. He said, you have been deprived of Radhika's shelter because you accepted the emblem of Dwarka, that is the chakra. You have left her exclusive shelter and have accepted the shelter. By doing that, by going to Dwarka, it's like you've accepted the shelter of Satyabhama and Rukmini and the other queens. So my understanding is that as long as you are in your current body, you'll never be able to get your bhajan back. Please leave this place at once. Otherwise, I will be deprived of mercy. So despondent, Krishnadas Babaji returned to Ranavadi. He closed the doors of his cottage and refrained from taking any water or food. His burning separation produced in his body an actual physical fire inside of him, and within 3 days, his material body had turned to ashes. Nitai, what do you think of that? It's a lot. So then people, after 3 days, when he wasn't coming out of his room, the people got worried and they kicked or pushed open the door. And they saw ashes instead of a body. So on the Amavasya day of the month of December, January, Amavasya means what? The day of the new moon? No moon. So they annually celebrate his disappearance with a big festival, with great splendor. Now let's take a big jump to Nadi Samadi. Nadi Samadi. And the original name of this place is Kinnari Shamari. So let's offer obeisances here. Roll in the dust. And actually, it's Nadi Samadhi. So it's really 2 villages together. And this is the resident of Shamalasaki. Now, there are 4 different kinds of sakis. One is Swapaksha, Radharani's intimate sakis. The Suhrit sakis, or Radharani's friends, who are neutral to Chandravali. So that's Shamalasaki. And now we have entered her village. Then there's the, what's the neutral ones called? Tatastha Shakti, are neutral to Radharani and friends of Chandravali. And then there's the Vipaksha Sakis, who are opposed to Radhika and are intimate with Chandravali. So Shamala Saki is a friend of Radhika. Once, Srimati Radhika exhibited a mood of jealous anger that seemed unbreakable. And again, I just want to reiterate that Gurudev said, So now I'm giving this lecture in Badger. If you repeat it to your associates after the class, it will go in your heart. If you talk about other things, then it will evaporate. So Lalita, Vishaka, and the other Sakis tried their level best to pacify her, but to no avail. Instead, her mind simply increased. So don't think you're the only ones who try hard to do something and nothing's happening. It also happens to Lalita and Vishaka. So finally, Krishna, on the advice of the Sakis, disguised himself as Shamari Saki, and, playing the veena, arrived at that place. So this is called Samari, or Shamari Saki, yes? Huh? Yeah. Well, it'll go in a couple of minutes. It's just waiting there. Huh? Me? While you're all leaving? And then I'll talk to myself. So Shamari Saki was very beautiful, naturally, because she's Krishna disguised. Hearing her sing in various exquisite ragas to the Veena's full range of ascending and descending notes, Radhika became enchanted. Saki, what is your name? And where do you live? We don't have to leave till 12, right? Oh, I see what you mean. Mm-hmm. The disguised Krishna answered, my name is Shamari. I'm a Kinnari. Kinnaris are like heavenly damsels from the heavenly planets. Shamari Kinnari then played the veena and sang so beautiful that Radharani was overwhelmed. She was just about to put her jeweled necklace around the neck of Shamari's Kinnari when the Saki folded her hands and made a request. Do you know what that request was? Please give me the jewel of your man. So when Radhika heard this, she immediately understood that this was her dear most beloved, asking her to surrender her sulky mood. She and Krishna were happily reunited, and the Sakis were overjoyed to have arranged this reconciliation. What's the name of this place? Huh? Nari Samari, that's the new modern name. What's the original name? Shamari Kinnari. Then there was another pastime that took place here. When Krishna and Baladev were about to leave for Mathura, Akrura seated them on his chariot and quickly drove the chariot away. The gopis stood watching with unblinking eyes as the chariot gradually disappeared from their vision. They continued to watch as the dust it kicked up settled to the ground. Beside themselves with grief and agony, they fell to the ground calling out, "O Hari, O Hari." To preserve the memory of this pastime, Maharaj Vajranabha, he's Krishna's great-grandson, he established a village here known as Hari. Gradually the word Hari changed to Nari. Kishori Kund, Shankarshan Kund, and a temple of Baladev are located in this village. They make a whole village out of a pastime. It's amazing. Now we would really be amiss. Let's roll in the dust here. Get some mercy. And we'd really be amiss if we didn't go to Kadirvan, which is also known as Kayora. Kayaro. The present name for Kadirvan is Kayaro. Krishna would come to herd his cows here. Sangama Kund, where a meeting, Sangama, between the gopis and Krishna took place, is situated here. And there's a great devotee named Lokanath Goswami. Oh, Vasanti already left for Bandiravan. We'll all take rickshaws. So Lokanath Goswami performed his sadhan bhajan on the bank of this pond. In a solitary place. See, they didn't care for fanfare. People appreciating the way they sit and look like they're absorbed. We are at Sangama Kunda. So he was all by himself. Sometimes his dear intimate friend Bhugarba Goswami would come here and perform bhajan together with Lokanath Goswami. Nearby is a very charming Kadamba Grove. Krishna, Balaram and the Sakis perform many childhood pastimes here. And Kadir means also dates. Every year when the dates, Kajur, ripened, Krishna and the Sakis would come here to herd the cows and eat ripe dates. Once there was a demon named Bakasura. So Krishna is just young now, appearing here as a huge crane to swallow Krishna. He was sent by Kamsa. He opened his massive mouth. His lower beak was touching the ground, and his upper eye, he was so big. And then he ran at Krishna with great speed to swallow him. When all the Sakas saw this fearful demon, they became filled with fright, began to shout, Kayo Re! Kayo Re! He will eat Krishna! He will eat Krishna! But Krishna remained fearless. He put his foot on the demon's lower beak, and catching the upper beak with his hand, he split it. Bifurcated it, just like one would split a straw. Then the Sakas joyfully cried out, Kayo Re, Kayo Re, Krishna ate him, Krishna ate him. So this place became known as Kayo Re because of this pastime. This place is also called Kadadavan or Kadiravan because in order to kill Bakasura, Krishna had to chase him. The Hindi word for chase is Kadadna. So this forest is also called Kadiravan because of the Kadir trees growing here. And the astringent extract for making pan. Pan is like a spice, but it's also an intoxicant. So they all used to eat pan. And then another village, like there's a village for when Krishna chased him, there's a village when Krishna actually killed him. Yeah.
Since that's the place of also Lokanath Goswami, right?
Huh?
That's the place of Lokanath Goswami.
Yeah.
Today's the disappearance or appearance of.
Today's the appearance day.
I don't know if it's appearance or disappearance of Bhugarba Goswami.
Abu Garba.
And they're best friends.
Yeah, they're like one soul in two bodies. So we can read about him because it is his disappearance day. And this evening we'll glorify Srila Bhakti Pramod Podi Goswami Maharaj. So there's two. Did everybody offer your obeisances and roll in the dust? Okay, now let's take one giant jump, remembering who jumps big. Who? Remembering Hanuman. Who's the origin of Hanuman? Gopishwar Mahadev. All the associates of Krishna and his different incarnations have their origin in Vrindavan. So Hanuman has his origin in Gopishwar Mahadev. So let's take one big jump to Baitna. And here we are, let's roll in the dust here. There's a Bada Baitna, big Baitna, and a Choti Baitna. Baitna has something to do with sitting. So Nanda Maharaj, Upananda, his oldest brother, and the other older Gopas would sit together here and discuss the welfare of Krishna and Balaram. A place where these kinds of discussions or consultations were going on is called a Baitak. Sanatana Goswami would come sometimes for a few days, and he would perform his bhajan here, remembering these pastimes. And what the Brijbasis really loved about Sanatana Goswami was that he was always so affectionate. He might have been speaking about Krishna, he might have been speaking about their family affairs, but whatever it was, he was so brimming with love that they all loved him and were happy to hear him speak about Krishna. Now, we're so lucky. We'll take another jump and pray to Gopishwar Mahadev that he will allow us or force us to enter the Rasa Leela. Now we've arrived at Chadana Pahadi, which is the place of Krishna's footprints. Let's bow down here and prepare to walk all over the rocks. Do you see them? Everybody start looking. Look for Krishna's footprints and also the imprints made by the cows and gopas. Once, herding the cows, Krishna reached this place with his entourage of sakas. How many sakas did he travel with? Billions. The cows were grazing some distance from there, and the sakas were also some distance away. In a playful mood, Krishna stood under a tree at the top of Chadana Pahadi in his charming threefold bending form. He played such a melody on his flute that the entire hill melted upon hearing the sound, because the hills are also personalities. They're all manifestations of Baladev. What to speak of the cowherd boys and cows, even the deer, does, and other animals and birds were allured. They quickly made their way to Krishna, leaving imprints on this melted stone. The imprints of the gopas, deer, camels, and so forth are still here. Can you see them? These imprints all point in one direction, to where Krishna was on top of the hill. Why? Because when Krishna stopped playing, the stones regained their hard selves, which meant that the gopas and animals left no impressions when they went their different ways after meeting with Krishna. The word charana means what? Foot. And pahari means mountain. And then Krishna washed his own feet at this place nearby, Charana Ganga. Now, let's offer obeisances here and run to camera. Huh? We're going. We are definitely going. Because we're going to be glorifying Srila Puri Maharaj tonight. And how can we go if we haven't come to Kailanvan? We're almost ready to take the bus. But if you want to go, Vasanta, you can. I didn't realize till this year what a major forest Kokilavan is. So here we are, while we were talking, we arrived at Camera. Huh? Once Krishna was beside himself with desire to meet with Radhika and restlessly gazed down the path along which she would appear. Finally, he called her name on his flute, and she and the Sakis were attracted by the sound, and they made their way to Krishna, who was overjoyed to meet them. The gopis thought to play a trick on Krishna. Do you want to hear about it? Good. So without making the sound, they picked up their beloved's black blanket, which is called Kari Kamara, and hid it. Krishna then began to search for his dear blanket. The devotee poet Suradas briefly described this pastime with much ras. Maya, I went to the forest to graze the cows. They had wandered far away, so I put down my blanket and went after them. But while I was gone, some Saki quietly stole my blanket. When I returned, I could not find it. I asked the Sakis, "Where is my blanket? If you have taken it, then return it." One Saki said, "Kanhaya, your blanket fell in the Jamuna and is floating downstream. I saw it myself." Another Saki said, "Kanhaya, I saw a cow eating your blanket." Maya, tell me, how could a kind-hearted cow eat my blanket? Another Saki said, "Kanhaya, if you dance in front of me, I will give you a new blanket." Maya, these Sakis are teasing me in many ways. Saying this, Kanhaya's eyes filled with tears. Maya lifted up her Lala, so Krishna is very young now, and put him to her breast. This village is called Kamara because Krishna was completely immersed in Kam. So there's so many different meanings of the words. Or Prem, as he eagerly waited for Radhika to come. It's also named Kamara because he was calling out for his blanket. So what are the two meanings of Camera,
Blanket,
blanket,
and calm.
and calm. Good. You know, Basanti, we would be amiss if we didn't go to Sheshashayi today. Basanti, why don't I just give you money for a plane? This pastime place lies 1.5 miles southeast of Basholi. Kir Sagara is here as a kund. You know what Kir Sagari is?
Ocean of milk.
It's the ocean of milk, which is located on the top of the universe, near the top of the universe. And that's where Kiradakshai Vishnu lies down, on that ocean of milk. Let us offer our obeisances here, roll in the dust, put the dust on our head, heart, eyelids, and tongue. Because it's a place of Vishnu, in a temple on the west bank is Kirasagara, is a deity of Ananta reclining on his bed with Lakshmi massaging his feet. One time, when the playful Krishna was sporting here with Srimati Radhika and the Sakis, the story about Anantashai Vishnu somehow came up in their conversation. A strong desire to see this pastime of Lakshmi massaging Krishna's feet arose in Radhika's heart. So Krishna himself arranged for her to see this pastime. Immersed in the mood of Anantashai, Krishna laid down on a 1,000-petaled lotus in the middle of Kirashagara. That was his snake bed, 1,000-petaled lotus. And Radhika, in the mood of Lakshmi, massaged his lotus feet. All the assembled gopis were astonished. Panditji, did you show them the deity? Let's offer obeisances to the deity, because everything, all the incarnations of opulence are all coming from Radha and Krishna. But they don't even know that. So they just play and imitate these incarnations. All the assembled devotees were astonished to see Radhika massaging Krishna's feet. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami alludes to this pastime in his Braj Vilas Stava. Quote, even though Radhika has extremely soft limbs, when she brought Krishna very soft and charming, when she brought Krishna's very soft and charming lotus feet near her chest, she could not bring him herself to place them on it, as she feared that the touch of her hard breasts might cause him pain. May I obtain residence in the enchanting Braj of Sheshashayi Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also came here, Basanti, so why shouldn't we? He came to take darshan of this place, and in doing so, he became filled with divine love. O Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please fill us Miami devotees with divine love. Then, Kailanvan. Kailanvan in Rupa Goswami's, I'm not going to speak about it until, Gurudev's not going to speak about it till we offer obeisances and roll in the dust here. And we have a big kirtan, Hare Krishna, We have a lot of bhajans here. Now we're ready to hear. So in Rupa Goswami's Lalita Madhav, Radharani was so much immersed in separation from Krishna that she she was like suicidal. She took Vishaka's hand, and because Vishaka is Jamuna. She's the form, and Jamuna is the liquid form of Vishaka. And they went deep into the river. But Radhika didn't die. Rather, she and Vishaka went up to the sun planet, where the father of Jamuna, Suryadev, was there waiting for them. And Suryadev gave Radharani to one king as his daughter in Dwarka. Now, Kailan Sri Krishna and Balaram played many games with the Sakas when they came here for cow herding. Radhika also played here with her Sakis. So Kailna means to play. Nanda Baba also resided here for some days. Vrishabhanu Baba stayed here with his whole family and a herd of cows. Jatila and Kutila thought themselves to be the only chaste women in Braj, and they considered Radhika to be not even slightly chaste. So then you see this pastime of Krishna pretending to be on the verge of death. Then we're just running through Ramghat, where Balaram was dancing with the gopis to relieve their separation after Krishna left Vrindavan. And we see the deity of Baladev here in the temple at Ramghat. Let's all offer our obeisances to the deity here. He has a really tiny head and a really big body. Not a big body, but just a big outfit. Some places they don't care if the outfits fit. Huh? We went there. Right. Yeah, actually, there's a place called Akshayavat, which is also called Bandiravat, and is situated just a little ways from Ramghat. Let's go there because this is where Balaram killed Pulambasura. Once during cow herding, Krishna and Balaram left the cows to graze in a lush green fields. They went off to play with the Sakas. They divided themselves into two groups, one headed by Krishna and one headed by Baladev. You can tell the pastime, Basanti. In the game they had a rule that each cowherd boy in the group that lost has to carry the boy of the other side that won. So there was a demon who took the form of a Saka. And the demon's name was Pralambasura. He was sent by Kamsa. He looked like a beautiful Saka, but Krishna recognized him. And he purposely encouraged the new Saka to play. Come on, you can play with us. And he kept Pralambasura on his team. Baladev was on the other team. So Sridham sat. Now, Balaram's team won, Krishna's team lost. So according to the rules, Sridham sat on Krishna's shoulders and Balaram sat on Pralambas. Krishna made his way towards the appointed place, but the wicked Pralambasura drove Balaram far away, a place that was deep and isolated. After some time, he assumed his hideous Rakshasa form, man-eating demon. At first, it seemed that Baladev was uncertain about what to do. But upon receiving a clue from Krishna, he split the demon, the head of the demon, with one blow of his fist. Split the whole head. Pralambasura vomited blood and collapsed to the earth. There's a nice picture of that my godbrother, I think Bhardraj did that. Yeah, Bhardraj did that. Where he's sitting on Pralamba's shoulders and striking him. So all the friends, wow, all the friends embraced Balaram and praised his strength and fortitude. Another pastime took place at this Akshayavat. One day Radhika, there's a lot of pastimes, so there's a lot to remember, and one thing that'll help you to remember is to talk about it. And if you're sitting there at lunch today, and let's say there's 10 of you, you could each remember something and remind the other person. The following pastime took place at Akshayavat. One day, Radhika and the Sakis and Krishna were playing together. The Sakis said to Krishna, Pran Vallabh means, beloved of our life, you have defeated even expert wrestlers. But why is it that Sri Ram defeated you? So Krishna said, that is entirely untrue. No one in the whole universe can defeat me. I've never been defeated by Sri Ram. Radhika replied, if that's so, then we gopis are ready to wrestle with you. If you defeat us, then we will understand that you're the topmost wrestler. The gopis dressed themselves as wrestlers, and Radhika wrestled with Krishna, easily defeating him. The Sakis clapped and praised her. Since Krishna and the Sakas wrestled and performed physical exercise here, the village near Akshayavat is called Kasirat. The word Kasirat means Kasrat Karna, perform physical exercise. It also means Kusti Karna, or to wrestle. When the ancient banyan tree that stood here disappeared, a new one was planted in its place. Note that the Bandiravat, situated in Bandiravan, is a different pastime place on the other side of the Jamuna. Munjatavi. Once they were playing on the shade of Bandiravat. See, we're already in Bandiravat, Vasanti. I know, because we flew. We flew in Tinkerbell's dust. And you just took your clunky old bus. So, Krishna was playing with the Sakas in the shade of Bandiravat. Nearby, the cows drank water from the Jamuna, began to graze on a lush green grass in the fields. And they just wanted one green grass after another. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. They wandered off to Munjatavi, some distance away. It was a summer day, and the scorching heat was drying up the Munja plants and baking the sand on the ground. The cows had roamed off without Krishna, and they now entered the Munja forest, which was devoid of water and shade. The Munjatavi was so dense that they lost track of the path, and overwhelmed with thirst and heat, they became restless. In their search for the cows, the Sakas had also left Krishna. Here's the thing. Gurudev was telling this story, this pastime. It's not just a story. The devotees were building this temple. Well, you were there, weren't you? In Australia. And there was like just the beginnings, bare beginnings of a temple building. And Gurudev was telling this story, how the cows wandered off, didn't tell Krishna where they were going. Then the Sakas wandered off, and then they all got caught in this fire. So Vasanti said, so Gurudev said, this is what happens when you don't get permission from Krishna, but you just go off on your own. You get in danger. In their search for the cows, the Sakas also left Krishna and Balaram, and entering the forest, they also became agitated with thirst and heat. It was then that the followers of the wicked Kamsa set Munjavan on fire. Within a moment, the wind has spread the fire everywhere, so that it surrounded the cows and the cowherd boys. Do you see this place? Well, let's bow down, because Krishna did some magic here. Seeing no other means to escape. So remember, everybody, when you have no other means to escape, what do you do? Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna appeared and he said, okay, now everybody, close your eyes just for a moment. And in that moment, he swallowed. Do you have it? Yes, you do. He swallowed the terrible forest fire. Upon opening their eyes, the Sakas saw that they were now standing with Krishna and Baladev in the cooling shade of the Bandirvat. The cows were peacefully lying nearby, chewing their cud. The jiva, suffering in the forest fire of material existence, can similarly be easily delivered from this suffering simply by taking shelter of Krishna. Now, what is Katyayani doing here? Chirgat. Let's take a big jump to Chirgat. And let's cheer that we're here. Whoa, we're so lucky to be here. What?
We've already been to Chirgat.
We have? Well, then let's leave.
We gotta go to the tree. Where's
Did-
London? Skip to 473 now. 474.
Okay, Panda is hurrying us along.
477.
And here we are. And she forced us onto her bus. And here we go. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This pastime place, let's jump off the bus and roll in the dust. This is the forest of Bhadravan, and it's named after Balaram. And we're only here for a moment. That person who bathes in this Sarovara, what Sarovara? Bhadra Sarovara. So that's there in Bhadravan. Let's do Achman, jump in, swim, come out, dry off. O Bhadra Sarovara, O Tirtharaj, my greetings to you. You are the personification of sacrifices, and you bestow that post that is never destroyed. Anyone who bathes here, like we just did, obtains unlimited wealth and enjoyment, and is finally successful in attaining Krishna Bhakti to Krishna and Baladev. And even more prominent as one of the 12 main forests of Vrindavan is Bandiravan. Bandiravat, Venukup, Rasastali, place of wrestling, temple of Sridham. There's many, many important pastime places here. Especially Bandiravat. Here we are at Bandiravat. Are you showing that, Panditji? So Gurudev is here, waiting for us. He has been waiting for us. And with Gurudev, we're all circumambulating Bandiravat. Vat means banyan tree. And it's a very famous place in Bandiravan. At the time of Krishna's manifested pastimes, a huge banyan tree stood here, full of long branches that spread in all directions. Nearby, Jamuna made a sweet sound as she followed her meandering course. Krishna, Baladev, and the Sakas would cross the river by, get this one, by walking on the branches of this tree. The branches went across the river and they would tightrope across. Male and female parrots, peacocks, peahens, cuckoos, and papihas were always singing on the tree's profuse branches. They remained satisfied by eating its fruit. Fruit of what? Fruit of the banyan tree. Deer, does, and other forest animals drank the sweet water of the Jamuna and took rest in the cool, pleasant shade of the banyan tree. It was mostly to this Bandiravat that Mother Yasoda and the mothers of the other cowherd boys used to send lunch with some gopas for their respective sons. While grazing the cows, Krishna, Baladev, and the Sakas used to have the cows drink the water in the Jamuna and then freely graze on the lush green grass of the forest. They would then sit in the shade of the banyan tree and eat the various tasty preparations sent by their mothers. And where did Krishna sit? Right in the middle. And the Sakas would sit around him in thousands of rows. But you know what was really amazing?
They all thought Krishna's eating just with me.
Right. They all thought they were in the front row, eating directly in front of Krishna. Even in the way back row, they thought they were in the front. And their eating was always accompanied by laughing and joking, just like yours was, your lunch yesterday. And Brahma and the other demigods in the sky became astonished to see their festive and joyous festival, picnics. Now Brahma performed a Gandharva marriage. There's two types of marriage. One is this big thing with a fire sacrifice, all the family is there. And one is a Gandharva marriage. That is, it's just quick with some mantras and some exchange of garlands. And that happened under this very banyan tree where we are now. Is everybody embracing the banyan tree? And an interesting thing happened once. According to the Garga Samhita and Gita Govinda, Nanda Baba once took Krishna young, like 5 years old or so. He took Krishna to Bandiravan to graze the cows. This forest was very attractively covered with a dense, actually if it's cows then he's going to be 6. He started at 6. Otherwise before that he grazed the calves. So this forest was very attractively covered with dense foliage of the tamal and kadamba trees and the lush creepers, and therefore there was hardly, and you could hardly see any sun. It was mostly just covered. All of a sudden, black clouds gathered from all directions, and a raging rainstorm developed, and darkness pervaded because there's already hardly any sunlight. Nanda Baba became afraid of the bad omen and carefully hid Kanhaya in his lap. At that moment, the extraordinarily beautiful daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, Sri Radhika, appeared there in form of a young girl, about a little younger than Krishna. She held her hands out to Nanda Baba, indicating that she wanted to take Krishna with her. And although Nanda Baba didn't know why he was doing it, because he was so astonished, still he gave Krishna to her. And then she took Krishna into the innermost portions of Bandiravan, under the shelter of the Bandiravan, because it was so big, the banyan tree. Here, Krishna manifested himself as Manmat. Anybody? Huh? Manmat, Manmataha. Kishore, teenage. A beautiful youth who bewilders even the mind of Cupid. So he was this little 6 or so year old. All of a sudden, he became 14. And so did Radhika. All of a sudden, Lalita and Vishaka and other Sakis were there. And who else came there? Brahma came there. Knowing the desire of Kishore Kishori, he performed their Gandharva wedding by reciting Vedic mantras. So this is an authorized wedding because Brahma is an authorized person. And they exchanged beautiful flower garlands. The delighted Sakis sang wedding songs as the demigods, even the demigods were there, showering flowers. While everyone looked on, Brahma just left. He disappeared. The Sakis disappeared. Krishna again became a small boy. And Radhika took Krishna's hand and returned to Nanda Baba. So this is one of the arguments of Srila Jiva Goswami, that they were married. So don't criticize you unqualified people. Don't criticize Krishna that he just usurped somebody else's wife. But it was just a play marriage. Meanwhile, the clouds dispersed and the storm stopped. And Nanda Baba now returned with Krishna to Nanda Braj. Then there was another one. Huh? Paint what? Well, I didn't exactly paint Radha and Krishna, but I just made the line drawing, and then somebody else painted it. But then, it's all plagiary, beginning to end. I just copied from somewhere else. But I changed it a little bit, but not much. So once Krishna and the Sakas brought the cows to drink water at the Jamuna, then he let them just graze. Whoops. The same story of the Munjatavi. Huh? Do you remember when Krishna killed Vatsasura? Huh? Vatsasura, the what? Vatsasura. Yeah, that's his calf. The calf demon. And then the gopis accused Krishna of killing a cow and forbade him to touch them. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj said that this is the language of love. Remember that? When Radharani says, "Don't touch me," what does she mean? Touch me. But it has to be in a contrary mood to keep the eagerness up. I didn't kill a cow. I killed a demon in the form of a calf. So the gopis didn't accept this. But still, he was in the form of a calf, so you still have to atone. So then he inquired how his purity could be restored. And the gopis said, "If you bathe in all the sacred rivers and ponds on the earth, then you will again become pure, and then you can touch us." After hearing the words of the gopis, Krishna created a beautiful well with his flute and summoned all the earth's sacred places to enter the well. He bathed in that, must have been a pretty big well. He bathed in that well and then met with the gopis. So this well is called Venu Koop because it was made by Krishna's flute. Created a beautiful well with his flute. So, by bathing in this well, one obtains the same result as by taking bath in each and every sacred place. Even today, the women of Braj worship this well on certain occasions to get a nice child. Or if the child has died untimely. And now, let's go to, there's Rasastalis all over where they do Rasa Leela. Let's go to Rasastali Bangsipat. This is a different Bangsipat that's in Vrindavan. Let's offer our obeisances here, because that's a price if you want to enter these pastimes. Always bowing down and offering obeisances, like the 6 Goswamis. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananatibi. They bowed down 1,008 times in a day to the various holy places. At the time of cow herding, Krishna would climb up this banyan tree and play his flute to call the cows. In this way, he would gather them and bring them all back home, sometimes on a beautiful, pleasant night. He would also call the gopis, Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, and upon their arrival, Rasa Leela would unfold at this Bangsi Bhat. Now, coming to the end of today's Parikrama, we walk Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And here we are at the temple of Sridham. We're on our way back to the mutt. Beneath this Bangsi Bhat is a temple of Sridham Baya. When Krishna went to Mathura, Sridham Saka, one of Krishna's, well actually he's the sister of Radhika, he's the older brother of Radhika, and one of the most intimate cowherd friends of Krishna. He remembered, he was heartbroken. He went to this very solitary Bangsi Bhat, where he remembered Krishna's sweet pastimes, filling his heart with sorrow. Sometimes when you remember pastimes, you get happy. But if you've been in the pastimes and then Krishna goes away, then you become sorrowful by remembering. Many days later, it was many years later, when Krishna returned to Gokul after killing the demon Dantavakra in Dwarka, he again met with Sridham here and took Sridham with him. One can have darshan of Sridham in the temple here. Sridham was standing in the same place, waiting. Sometimes he makes wells with his flute, but at Shama Talaya, he made a whole pond with his flute, and then satisfied all the gopis with its luscious water. Nowadays, this pond lies in a completely dilapidated condition, with very little water, but still, people take Achman here with faith. So again, here we are, ending our, not exactly end. Did we go to Matavan?
Yeah, that was
Manasarovar is here at Matavan. Bailvan, did we go to Bailvan?
Yep.
We went to Bailvan. But just to mention about Matavan, let's jump up and fly to Matavan, and here we are. The word Mansarovar is here, and we went to Mansarovar before. But just to let you know what Matavan is, the word Mata refers to a large earthen pot meant for churning yogurt and other household chores. During Krishna's pastimes, these pots were made here and used by the Brijbasis in their daily household work. So this village is called Mata. It's only a couple of miles south of Bandiravat, 5 miles north of Vrindavan, and it's famous for its cow grazing and for the famous temple of Baladev. In Matagram, Ram and Krishna played with their sakas, and it's named after the huge earthen vessel called a mat, which the Brijbasis would use to churn their buttermilk and yogurt. Okay. Should we go to the place of Durvasa tomorrow? Okay, there's just like minuscule amount of parikrama left to do, which we will continue tomorrow, and then we'll perform the big fire sacrifice, and then have a feast. What? You might be mental. We are doing a fire sacrifice. In other words, you can call it mental, but we do it. Final program in the evening. Why? Oh, okay. Who comes in the evening? Are you all going to call people and ask them to come for the final program? Yeah, Chandranani and Ananda. Who's the ones that your disciples? What are their names?